cover them up really well. In middle school, it was corny to be a proud Filipino. That made you something closer to other. Being proud to speak your language gave you dirty looks in high school, especially by young students who had learned that being American was always better. I struggled to grasp the concept that high nose bridges and paler skin equated to beauty. When all the models I saw were constantly tanning, their chemically enhanced brown skin wasn't exactly like mine, but I figured they just wanted the glow that sun-kissed skin and melanin and hundreds of years of colonization could give someone. I grew up in an era where I was supposed to be ashamed of where my family comes from. I was supposed to hide the Philippine sun that everyone could see glowing behind my eyes. I was encouraged to smother the fluid Tagalog words that wanted to fall from my lips because they just sounded too different. And yet, I was surrounded by people who had the same sun glowing behind the same eyes. Although our skin tones could range from milk to coffee, we could look at one another and know, you're like me, but you're scared too. I could see the fear start to form on the foreheads of my peers every time I spoke to them in Tagalog because suddenly I had switched into a code they wished they couldn't understand anymore. I could sense the rejection from a mile away as I hung up a Filipino flag on my bedroom wall. Their confusion was palpable as I slipped into my dresses with butterfly sleeves and removed my slippers as I weaved my way through sticks of bamboo. We grew up scared to be ourselves because the whole world told us we didn't exist. We didn't fit into any of the shows or movies or books we indulged in. The music on the radio never sang about us and it didn't sound like our folks, and every time a show tried to be diverse, we still couldn't find ourselves amongst the corny Asian jokes. We grew up reading about history that wasn't ours. California history never included the Watsonville riots. My classmates would never understand the second meaning of manong or what it meant to be one. We grew up during a time no Filipinos or dog signs could not be put up anymore, so we didn't bother to think that they never could have been. That wasn't our history, surely. It was. It still is. We grew up tricking ourselves into believing that English would be the only language we'd need to communicate properly, that American history textbooks would satisfy our craving for understanding who and what we were, where we came from, and what we could amount to. But we were never given the chance to find heroes that we could really look up to because none of them had names that sounded like ours and none of them had footprints we could step into. This is what a marginalized experience is. It's your identity, your entire existence being pushed to the furthest edges of unimportance. It's screaming so loud, just trying to tell the world that yes, you are here and you matter, but no one bothers to listen. It's looking in the mirror and wishing your eyes were shaped different. It's flipping through magazines and TV channels just trying to get a glimpse of brown. We got pushed to the side so often, we forgot that we even mattered. We internalized the indifference the rest of the world showed us and made it our own, giving each other suspicious looks whenever we heard our native language outside of the home, rejecting the values our older generations wanted to instill into us, contouring our noses to appear more European and a little less like us, and only being proud to be Filipino during a boxing match and such. We grew up not realizing that we had learned to hate ourselves, because the rest of the world never showed us any love. We grew up not wanting to exist as ourselves because outside of our own community, it seemed like we didn't. We were little brown dots on the map of a really white world, pushed to the side and made to feel invisibly small, but we're not small, we're actually huge in numbers, and if Filipino parties are any measure for volume, you know we have big voices too. So I still don't understand just why the world doesn't want to hear us, because we got a lot of things we need to say to you.